I am a gambling addict. Okay, everyone, welcome back to the GENSHIN podcast. We are back today with a non-solo episode, and today we will be having Audrey back as she swims in the water while we do our intro. And the topic today is going to be something that I feel like a lot of us players of games like Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, Honkai Impact 3rd, and recently Wuthering Waves, maybe even Tower of Fantasy. I'm not sure, like a lot of you play that, but we're going to be talking about gambling addiction, or the addiction to hit that wish button whenever you have one wish. And I myself am a huge victim of this. And most of the time I am very tempted to just click the wish button whenever I can. And it has created some problems for me because sometimes I would randomly get a early 5-star that I didn't want or stuff like that. And I have seen a lot of people suggest a simple rule of just don't do it. But I feel like it's deeper than that. It's deeper than just saying I'm not gonna. I think there is a lot of like steps to it or levels to it, and I feel like there's a lot of stories I can also share regarding this matter. So for me, I am a very hardcore like gacha player. I play a lot of gacha games on the daily, and I recently have improved a lot in the resisting to wish front. But I wanted to sort of talk about my journey here, and hopefully some of you guys can relate. So yeah, I mean we're gonna have some just co-op clips in the middle of this so that we can at least have something for you guys to watch and not just listen to. But I guess we can begin now. So first of all, let's start with the conception. So the conception of sort of gambling addiction always starts when you download your first ever gacha game. Yes, for me it was Genshin Impact, and it was a very new experience. Like I never really played a game like that, and also I never really thought about remotely even thought about spending money on a game. And so it was a very new experience for me, obviously, and having sort of RNG, that sort of dopamine hit when you get like a very lucky wish, a lucky pull, whatever it is called. We're going to be just using the term wishes and pull throughout the video just to make it very consistent, although some of the games don't use that terminology. So I downloaded it, and in the beginning I was just chilling. Like I didn't really know how to what to wish for, so I just didn't wish. And so I accumulated quite a bit of the Primo Gems in Genshin. And, that lasted for a couple months until I watched some videos on Genshin Impact. And I sort of learned about the gacha system and how it works.
You will obey.
Yeah, I learned about the gacha system and how it works, and that sort of started the sort of, I would call
the addiction,
the downward spiral of it all. And so, and I just started wishing relentlessly, and every time I didn't get what I want, that's when I got even more upset. I would just keep clicking the wish button whenever I hit the 160 mark of Primo Gems, and that lasted for a while, and at that moment it was still fine, right? I feel like it's not wrong to wish, especially since in that moment I didn't really know much about characters or anything. I had a basic level understanding. Were considered good and considered not meta and bad. All of those things. I had a very basic understanding of it, but I didn't really too much about the game. So at that time it was very much chill. Until there was, I remember it was actually Raiden's, I think. It's Raiden Shogun. And I still remember that day actually. I was in a local noodle shop, and I was trying hard to wish for her. And then when I finally got a 5-star, I was so happy. And it was Mona. And then that was the first 50-50 I lost, and I unfortunately did not get her within the wishes that I had saved up at the time. And so because I started a new job at the time, and I had this certain amount of income, I swiped for the first time ever, quite a big amount. I did end up getting her. I didn't end up I did end up getting her, and I had a lot of fun with her and everything. After that, I just kept going, every single character that I wanted. If I couldn't get them with the wishes, I swipe, and it was definitely not very healthy behavior. But you know, you live and you learn. You learn as you go, and I feel like it does take some like sort of experience,
Time?
like experience and time to find a good balance. And so that was like sort of the conception of it. After that, there was a lot of like characters that I'm gonna like gloss over the details. I'm not gonna have every detail in the video, but for the next, I would say a couple, like a year and a half around that time, it was just endless like swiping and like not being able to self-control. And of course it was still all within like my the money that I earned, but it was like
Spending power, I guess.
it was still within it. It's not bad to the point where I was like severely in debt or anything, but it was just like I still feel like it was
That's good.
like it.
Yeah.
And then like I didn't realize I had this like weird feeling every time. Like I'd be happy if I get the character, and that would last a little while, a couple days maybe. And then after that, I have this sort of like weird feeling in my stomach that I get whenever I log onto the game, and I start to feel this sort of like, guilt of spending. And at the time, there was a lot of propaganda around the idea of spending. Would say that,
Yeah, and also like, oh, like you should like save up to like pull and like try to aim for one character instead of like getting all of them, which I get it's like a good thing. But then it's like it also like kind of guilt trips you into like, oh, like if you swipe, then like you're spending too much money, and like why would you spend like money on games, blah blah blah.
Yeah. And after the year and a half of swiping and everything, and all the propaganda surrounding the idea of being free to play, and you're somehow like just strictly superior of a player, like you have more skill, you're just better if you don't swipe. Like there's a lot of like propaganda surrounding that. And so I sort of, that sort of idea sort of indoctrinated my mind and sort of fueled the mental and sometimes even physical like feelings that I had surrounding the game for quite a while. So I felt that guilt, started to really reel in on that guilt, and I started to feel the sort of like my account is sort of tainted or ruined because I spent money on it. And so that sort of fueled a lot of like the psychological development into the idea that I'm less than because I spent money. I'm not like a good player or a skilled player because I swiped that. And obviously now looking back, I know that is not the case. People have fun with games their own way, and as long as you're spending responsibly, I don't see a problem with it. This is in no way to judge anyone who may be watching who are spending on the game. This is just strictly my personal experience.
Yeah.
And the guilt
As
is a
long
very
as you can
powerful
afford it,
force.
why not?
The guilt is a very powerful force, and sort of made me leave Genshin Impact for a couple months because I felt really bad about it. And in that time, we're just gonna fast forward to the release of Honkai Star Rail. So I actually, for the first full year of Honkai Star Rail's release, I did not spend money on anything in the game. So I tried being free to play, I tried all that. It was fun, but at the same time, I felt a severe lack of resources, and I did not feel very motivated to do a lot of the stuff in the game. And so that sort of made it more difficult, and it did sort of decrease the fun factor for the game for me. And I think that's one of the reasons why I spent a little again.
Yeah. Cool.
And so with Honkai Star Rail, the first time that I spent, I think, was on, let me think about it. It was Fushuan's, no. It was Aventurine's banner. And
Wait, really?
yes.
Oh, I thought it was Fushuan.
I didn't spend on Fushuan's banner the first time she came around because I wasn't even interested in her at the time. Because if you think about it, I indeed only like spent by myself on Fushuan's banner for the first time on her, I think, rerun, yes. And so you can view it as that. But the Aventurine one was actually Audrey's sponsorship for my birthday present. And so that was the sort of like, yeah, that was like the first kind of, I guess, spending that I would have on that game. And I would say that the year of playing Honkai Star Rail and less of Genshin Impact, not zero, but just less, really helped me get over this sort of like feeling and perception that spending any sort of money on the game makes you a worse person. And it was a very, like, it took a lot of time to override this sort of ideology, because it is still permeated throughout the Genshin Impact Gacha, whatever, Honkai Star Rail space. That
system. Yeah, it is.
And so, yeah, I mean, that's like my first 2 chapters of this story, I would say. Like the first 2 parts, the experience has been really tough, especially in the middle part where I was like trying to trying to override this sort of ideology in my brain. And that was like really tough. And sometimes I would relapse, you know, just like I would spend a little and I would be like, oh my god, what have you done, and freak out. And even to this day, none of that spending has been outside of my spending ability, financial ability. And so I feel like, objectively speaking, there was no need to feel that bad. The point where you would want to stop playing the game and think that you need to start a new account or something. But yeah, I'm gonna pause
to, like,
there.
Enroll into like a mental.
Yeah, I'm gonna pause there and let Audrey talk about what she thinks and maybe your own like story, if you have any you would want to share.
So personally, I don't have much to share because I generally never had a problem with gacha system. I do not give a damn about the culture surrounding the gacha system, first of all, because I started playing Genshin like since Genshin is a thing.
Yeah.
So I started playing really early on, and then second of all, I didn't really care about what the culture is. I will get a character if I want them. So for example, I have the obsession with Zhongli, and I will literally spend $200 on Zhongli, and that was like probably the most I've ever spent on like a game in general. And I really don't, I guess like I just don't really like care about gaming that much. Enough to the point where I will spend a lot of money like on the game. For example. So at the end of the day, I understand like people really do take pride in being like a free-to-play player. But then it's like it doesn't really concern me enough for me to feel bad if I do end up spending for like a character. It's like if I want it, I will get it. If I don't want it, like I don't really care. I mean, to the point where at the end of the day, I don't even play Genshin anymore, and I haven't really been playing Genshin for like a while. But I understand like how challenging it can be for some people, and also like I would also say that like if you're spending like a lot of money on a game like consistently, I also don't think that's a good idea as well. I take like a more
that's
like,
still
middle lane approach. Exactly. So, on one hand, I did like yell at you when you spent like I think quite a bit on trying to get a skin for I forgot, like was it AOV? Like it was a long time ago, but like you told me like exactly how much you spent. Yeah, and I was like, oh my god, Wink, what did you do? But then also at the same time, I'm like, sometimes I'll like even tell you to like pull for characters because I know that it will probably take them a while for them to come back. And so, you know, why not? If you really want a character and you're sure that you're going to use it at the end of the day, then go for it. You know, there's nothing wrong with it. So, I'm grateful the only obsession I had was Zhongli, because I feel like if I have more, that would hurt my wallet, like, physically. But then, like, thank goodness, not really. But I would say, like, the same kind of, like, principle can go with almost anything in your life, you know, like maybe not just the gacha system, maybe like, you know, gambling, for example. Like some people who are quite addicted to gambling would think that like maybe the next one would be their like big win, and they would keep, you know, they would stay put until their wallet is dry, which is obviously an unhealthy obsession. But you know, you can say that the same thing kind of goes with like the gacha system, because like if you compare the gacha system with like slot machines, they kind of work the same way. But like with one hand, with the slot machine, it's like when you like pull a lever, you hope that you get like three same like characters, if not like the same pattern, and then you win big. But the gacha system, it's like, you know, you keep like doing the 10 pulls and hopefully that you get the character before you actually hit your pity. And
Yeah.
like both kind of involves the element of like surprise and unknown, and that's one of the reasons why it stimulates
Yes.
your brain and makes it feel like, oh my god, like it's so satisfying. So like that's
Yes,
kind
definitely.
of one of the reasons why Genshin is one of the bigger grossing games,
Yeah.
you know, on
Yeah.
this platform. Which I mean, good for them, you know, for finding a good business model. But then it's like we as a consumer have to be careful of how much we're spending.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. I'm gonna
at the
interject
end of the
here.
day,
I think
yeah,
I definitely do agree with you. It's like a two-way thing where the manufacturer of the game and the player each have their own like goals and at the same time their responsibilities. I think at the same it's like you need to, as a player, spend responsibly um, within your spending power, and also it has to be reasonable and cannot be like, oh, I want every single character, unless of course you're extremely financially capable of doing that. Then, you know, like, that's none
yeah.
of my
It's like
business too.
if you're like, yeah, if you're a billionaire, then like go for it. You know, like why let me stop you? You know.
Yeah, it's just
But
like,
then most of the case we're not.
yeah, exactly. I think that when it comes to I think it's a good segue to go into, I guess, the main point of this video. I really wanted to share my story surrounding this. Um, After Honkai Star Rail's 1-year anniversary, and also my first spending in the game. So I really like felt out of place after doing that spending, because it's been like a year of not spending on that game, right? And so like it is a relatively like new experience in that game specifically, and so I felt out of place because I was not used to this. I was used to having that sort of sense of security, like I'm still free to play, I haven't like done something wrong, I haven't become less of a good player or something like that. That was my like initial thought process. But after actually spending on it, and then like I got, you know, like I got the battle pass, I got the, not the welcome, whatever it is over there, express supply, whatever supply pass, the monthly thing. I got
Yeah,
those
the
two
monthly
things.
subscription thing.
Yeah, and I felt that, like, although of course like it offered me a sort of faster development in my account because I have more resources, I don't think it makes it so that I can just beat the game. Like, it doesn't make it like game breaking. It just means I have more, like I have like faster resources, like access to faster resources. And that made me happy because I can develop the characters that I really like and I can play them sooner, right? Like, it's not solely based on like, oh, I just like I just want to spend for spending. It's like I spend and I get like a more enjoyable gameplay experience. And the sort of rise of importance of the gameplay experience overall else sort of happened after the first year of Honkai Star. So I started to let loose a little bit more, but of course keeping in mind to be very careful, because knowing my history, if I stop controlling myself, if I stop limiting myself, then it will be anarchy. It will be very bad. So I spent with a very strict limit, and only so far I've spent on two characters, which is Aventurine and Fusion. And like that's like fine, that's like not a lot. And I think the third chapter is like an ongoing one. Like, I think it's like I really want to have an enjoyable gameplay experience, but at the same time it's like I didn't want to overspend like before. So at that point, it was sort of like a full circle moment from chapter 1, or part 1 of this story. Yeah,
Okay.
so that's the gist of my story. And Audrey did share a little bit about her experience. I know that a lot of us really want certain characters, really want certain weapons, really want all those things. But this is a more, I guess, serious discussion than the ones that were preceded by this. But I felt that it was necessary to put my story out there for anyone who may hear it, and maybe one day it can help someone. Yeah, I guess that's it from me.
For anyone who's like struggling with sort of like a deciding between to pull or not to pull, that'd be a helpful discussion of, just I can't speak English anymore, I guess, relieving some anxieties around that issue. And I need more stuff, so yes. Good luck, kids.
All right.
Don't spend your entire life saving on Genshin.
All right. Anyways, that's the end of the current podcast episode, I believe. And so, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like, comment, subscribe if you like this type of content. Also, I'm about to continue. Bye-bye.